My name is Kelly Carell. I am a senior financial aid counselor at the University of Iowa's Financial Aid Office. First thing that you may want to know is in case your employer offers reimbursement, you may not need the loan program because the billing office here at the University of Iowa offers tuition deferment, because a lot of employers will require that you complete a semester, turn in your grades, and then they'll reimburse you. And so the billing office will defer that each semester and make your payment due at the end of the semester. So that's a nice feature to where you don't have to borrow the loan if your employer will cover it. If you don't have a program like that, then you can look into the federal government loan system. So the first step in filing for federal student aid, and in your case federal loans, is to go to the FAFSA's website, so fafsa.ed.gov. If you don't already have a FAFSA PIN number, FSA ID is what they call it now, then you'll want to apply for one. If it's been a while and you have a PIN number, they'll let you enter the PIN number and then they'll help you apply for the FSA ID. And so if you have an FSA ID already, you can just go ahead and log in, do your FAFSA for the 17-18 year if you're coming in this upcoming year, and then in October the 18-19 year will open up, because you will need to do one FAFSA for each academic year, which runs August through the summer of the following year. Would be the 17-18 FAFSA, because that's considered the spring term in the 17-18 academic year. For fall of 18, then that's the 18-19 FAFSA, and those will release on October 1st of 2017. Okay, so and if you don't have a FSA ID yet, they'll let you enter your information, and then eventually they'll take you to the site to actually need to create your FSA ID, and it'll look something like this: create a new FSA ID, and then it'll walk you through the steps. If you have one and you forgot what it was, they give you ways of getting that information through email and so on. So that's the first thing you have to do, is establish your signature, basically, is what the FSA ID is, your electronic signature. They say not to write any of your information down, and I'll leave that up to you, but I will warn you that they make you change the password so often, and they go through the security questions each time. Just make sure you're picking security questions that you know you're going to remember. So once you've done your FAFSA and you've submitted it, they'll send us your FAFSA record, and that will have a lot of information on it for us, because if you file the FAFSA and you don't qualify, they'll let us know too, and they'll let you know. But if you do qualify, the next step is you have to be admitted to the Executive MBA program before we will actually package an award notification. We'll have the FAFSA, but nothing will happen after that step until you are officially admitted into the program. And at that point, then we will automatically award you for regular full-time. The challenging part with the Executive MBA program is your total cost is currently, anyway, $62,000 for the whole program for the 2 years. And so what we do in our office is we'll split that $31,000 each year. There's going to be times where you might pay a little bit more one semester to the next. It all averages out to 62. If you want yours to be exact, you're going to want to let us know how many actual hours you're enrolled, and we're not going to know what your actual credits are in our office automatically unless you tell us. And the way we get around that and awarding you up front is we just do half and half. So when you file your aid, your award packet will include, this is the University of Iowa Financial Aid website, just the base website, and where you want to go is to our loan area. So to get to the loan area, just go types of aid, loans, and then when you're in the loan, there's only 2 loan programs that you will be eligible to apply for through the federal government. So one of them is the unsubsidized Stafford loan program, and we'll talk about that one first. The maximum amount you can borrow on the unsubsidized loan each year is $20,500. So that means if you're going to borrow everything, you're still going to need more loan options, and we'll talk about the next loan option. Because if you're paying 62, you're only going to have 41 eligibility. You're still going to be around, 20 short. But first we'll talk about the unsubsidized loan program. The rates are fixed each year for that particular disbursement. And so on July 1st of each year, it's going to change. But the disbursements that happen between July 1st of 17 and June 30th of 18, they are fixed at 6%. That interest is accumulating while you're in school on the disbursed amount of the loan and during deferment. So you have this upcoming year 6.0%. Your loan fee, because it does also have a loan fee, for anything that disperses before September 30th of 17, it's going to be 1.069%. They're going to reassess that loan fee on October 1st of 17. There'll be a new fee. So your spring, we don't know what that is going to be just yet, but if you see the history here, it's going to hover in the 1% area. There are also aggregate limits, which means that once you hit the ceiling of the loans, even if you need more money, you wouldn't be able to do it through the unsubsidized loan program. So you can borrow $20,500 per year, but the most that they will allow you to borrow is $138,500. So if you've already taken out loans through the government, been to grad school, and you're close to this number, then you'll have to do it through either other avenues or the Graduate Plus loan, which we'll talk about here in a minute. A caveat to that is if you're a graduate student and you already have been to like med school or pharmacy school or dental school, the aggregate limit on that one is $224,000. So what they would do is back any med school loans that you have out and then figure out where you're actually at in that aggregate total. Once you've exhausted the unsubsidized loan program, the Graduate Direct Plus loan is your, at least the government, only other option. The Graduate Plus loan is not a guaranteed loan, so this one will go through a credit check. They don't look at income to debt, so that part won't hurt you, but they do look at your actual credit. Any delinquencies, bankruptcies, those types of things will be looked at. In some cases, if it's denied, they will allow you to appeal it, but you'd have to talk to the lender about all of that if you get into that situation. So we've also listed what their current interest rate is, 7%, up until the June 30th of 18, fixed at that. Loan fee is a bit higher, 4.276%, and again, that'll change at the end of October 1st of 17. We don't know for your spring disbursement. The Graduate Plus loan does not have a aggregate limit, and they don't look at income to debt, but they'll just look at your credit on that one. So it's kind of like I would say, kind of a last resort type of a loan, especially if you can get something better. That pretty much covers the actual loans. I mean, there's only 2 loans that you can get through the financial aid office. Anything else, you'd be looking through your own resources. Ask your employer, see if they have any type of tuition reimbursement programs that would work for you. Yeah, so your final fall can actually cover that full semester with the unsubsidized loan because the $20,500 is the annual limit. And so if you're only going to attend fall, you can move as much of that into the fall as you need. So you'll have plenty. You wouldn't even have to look at the Graduate Plus loan. So the same with when you're starting in the spring. Your spring term will look like fully covered with the unsubsidized loan. The next year, fall and spring, it's going to be that split. You might have to do the Graduate Plus, and then your final, you can fully count on the unsubsidized loan as well. First thing we're going to do is make the award offer. So we'll offer you the Stafford loan options, and then you're going to decide how much of that you would like to borrow. And before it would disperse, there's a couple things you would have to do through the federal government. You'd have to do loan counseling, You would have to do a master promissory note for the unsubsidized loan, a master promissory note for the Graduate Plus loan if you decide to do that one, and then you would have to do loan counseling for the Plus loan. So once we award the loan, we have a system for students called MyUI, which is kind of the portal that you will interact with to pretty much do everything. In the financial aid and billing area, there would be application and loan document status, and in that we're going to tell you what we have received and what we still need in order to finalize your loan. Once you have finalized all the paperwork steps, then the only next thing is getting registered. And as long as you're registered at least 5 hours, your loans will disperse during the first week of class. And we'll send that money over to the billing office, and they will take out the tuition. And in theory, you shouldn't really have a refund because the loan is going to be set up just to pay for your tuition. Yes, you do need to be accepted before. So basically what will happen is if we receive your FAFSA and you're not accepted, we're going to send you an email saying we've received the FAFSA, but you're not a current student. You have not been admitted. And so pretty much that ends our process at that moment. Once you're accepted, we typically will automatically pick that up, but also give us a call just to make sure. Say, I have now been accepted. What's the timeline on getting awarded? And then we can go from there. So the short answer is no, we will not award you unless you are accepted into the program. You wouldn't qualify for the federal aid. And I say federal aid because sometimes departments want to give their students money or whatever the case may be, but that doesn't have anything to do with the federal loans. Eligibility for federal aid is not income dependent for graduate students. You can look at the FAFSA as like when you're any kind of loan process, you have to fill out an application, and so that's the federal government's application to borrow the unsubsidized loan, but it's not income based. The ideal is just as soon as you know you need the money. There's no strict deadline outside of we have to have the aid set up before the last day of classes in the year. And so in theory, your Des Moines students can file up to May 1st and still be retroactively awarded for that full spring. I don't recommend doing it that late, but sometimes you don't know you need it until later. Maybe something fell through. But ideally, if you want everything to get set up before the first day of classes and you want things to be paid for, I would recommend, if you're a fall start, getting everything done and including the loan paperwork by the middle of July at the latest. Certainly that's not a deadline, but it's recommended if you want everything in line by the time school starts. If it's included in the $62,000, then you're already borrowing against it. To increase that, the answer is no, not unless, I suppose the Executive MBA program can petition for other costs to be included. We would have to put it up, because the federal government has different guidelines on what can be included in costs and what can't be. And so we would have to review your request and see. With the private loan sector versus the federal government loans, you will want to look at more than just the interest rate, and or if you're an international student, because some, international students, a lot of lenders, I'll say, private lenders will consider you as a borrower if you have a U.S. cosigner. And then there are some, loan programs, like if the student will check with their country of origin, may have loan programs that they might do for the student. But things that you'd want to consider when weighing the government loan against the private loan And maybe this might not be as much of an issue with the executive MBAs because your incomes may be a little bit higher. If you want to see what types of loan forgiveness programs are out there. Private loans do not qualify for loan forgiveness programs through the government. Plus loan does, unsubsidized loan does. And so if you get into a situation where you're working for a not-for-profit organization and your income is low enough to be considered for the income-based payment plan, you might also apply for the public forgiveness loan program to where you can make 10 years of good payments based on your income, and whatever's left over they'll forgive. The other thing is if you lose a job, you want to find out through the private loan company how flexible are they on forbearances. The federal government currently is very flexible to where I lost my job, and you can apply for 6 to 12 months of deferment while you get back on your feet. Private loan companies usually say, that's too bad, you still need to make your payments. And so other things to consider than just the interest rate when you're looking at the federal loan versus the private loan sector. Universities aren't allowed to quote-unquote name drop. If you are interested in looking in the private loan sector, if you go to in the loan area, we have some general information about what our procedures are in filing for private loans, because it does require an extra counseling session with our office. And if you're unable to show up in person, there's a way to set that up over the phone. But this will talk about what our actual steps are. And then we have some questions to consider when evaluating loan programs. But we can't give a list of lenders. You could Google private alternative loans, and you'll probably see some lenders that you might recognize. But we at least try to give you some questions to weigh the loans. Yes, as long as with permanent residence, what we would do with your first initial application, as long as it hasn't expired, your card, we have to send verification through the DHS, and as long as they approve it, then you're going to be fine. All right. Well, thanks for considering, and just let us know if you have any questions. And like I said, you can call our office and talk to any of the counselors. Anyone should be able to answer the general types of questions you might have in regards to the loan programs, the information about our office hours, and our phone number and email.